I met a gypsy.
How so? Like, you're still super close with your dad. You guys are in business together. How do you manage that relationship with your dad and not think your dad's a fuckwit when he's doing all that? Yeah.
Well, that certainly crossed my mind several times. No, we definitely. I mean, we've butt heads even when it comes to business. You know, we have employees, and we'll be in a meeting, and I swear it's like they're watching a tennis match. They just, what's Gerald going to say? What's Grant going to say? Oh, and we'll go at it, and people are like, "Oh, dude, they're so pissed at each other," and then at the end of the day, he's like, "Hey, you want to have a beer?" Yeah, we're gonna have a beer and shoot the shit and move on. So I think he was raised in a bit of a strict household, and he's always handled things his way. And I think I've been able to channel that stuff. And I know some kids get a little resentful towards their parents when they're pushed so hard, but I always reminded myself from a young age, I asked for this. I wanted to go to Europe. I told him I want to be a world champion. I want to follow in Albertine's footsteps. I want to go to Europe, try and win a world title, and then go to the US. And I just knew I always was going to end up in America. So I knew I was going to have to learn Supercross and, you know, just make the jump, do all these other things. So, yeah, I can't be mad at a guy when I said, I'm prepared to put it all out on the table. He made sure I put it all out the table 24/7. So, yeah, it was tough at times, but I always knew deep down it was because he wanted the best for me.
Yeah, and I guess there's probably, for like your dad to pull it off, there's probably had to be some like real genuine shit in his heart as well towards it too, and like really like wanting it for the right reasons. Because I mean, I see a lot of people that, I mean, even like not even just parents, like there's guys that are just like friends of riders and they like trying to help them achieve their goals, and then it like sours the milk in a way because they sort of want it more for themselves than they want it for their kid. So I feel like there must have been, like with Gerald, there must have been some like real balance and perspective there, and not kind of wanting the glory for himself in a way, because that's the shit that fucks it up, I reckon.
Yeah, no, my dad raced himself. My grandfather passed away basically when my mom had just had me. So he didn't have a great relationship with his father. And I think from what I've heard from my mom and just family members was he was a bit tough, and him and my dad weren't that close. My dad was always tough with me, but we were close. We did everything together. You know, we traveled to all the nationals. He built my bikes. I remember I used to get pissed off because when I was on, especially 80s, I would win, and everyone was like, well, his bike's the fastest, that's all.
Yeah.
And my dad would build my competitors' engines for them, and these parents had maybe no budget, so he put all the trick stuff on. They would dyno it, and it's way quicker than my bike. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're helping the competition? And he's like, well, just twist the throttle. He goes, if you're the best rider, you're going to beat them still. And I, you know, for a young kid who's 12 or whatever, I'm like telling my friends, this guy's building my competitors' engines. Like, WTF? What the hell? Like, and his thing is, I need the money. You want to go to the race? Well, I need gas money to get you there. It's a long cross-country trip, and my credit card, I tried to swipe it this morning. It didn't go through, so I can't even put gas in the truck. And you're like, oh, okay. I guess you got to do what you got to do. So I think that also helped prepare me in a, maybe he didn't intend to in that sense, but he prepared me for, you're a bad dude, outride everyone, and don't worry about the little shit. Don't worry about who's got the bling, who's got new graphics. Don't worry about that. Worry about yourself. Just wring the shit out of that motor, and it'll last, and you'll be fine. So that'll also help, you know, just, I think, build that inner confidence in yourself that, hey, you know what? I'm actually a pretty good rider. Even on inferior equipment, I believe I can beat these guys.
Yeah, man, it's pretty cool when you get like those like legit good old boys that grew up in that era, you know. Like I look at my dad, and you know, there's some funny quotes that my dad's got that, you know, I'll have like an Olympic gold medalist on the podcast, or I'll have like, you know, someone fucking that's done so much in their life, and then I'll drop a quote and they're like, oh damn, who said that? I was like, oh, that's just like my dad's thing, man, you know, like my dad always used to say that. And it's just like these little it's like that old boy wisdom. And you know, my dad didn't do nothing like spectacular, he didn't get any, you know, crazy accolades or anything, but I think, you know, he grew up really tough, like in a, you know, small town and with a you know, farming background, that all that shit. And it's just like there's some real hard knocks wisdom that can shine through in those old boys.
Well, even sometimes I guess when I'm announcing or whatever, you know, I don't overthink things, and sometimes sayings or words just roll off your tongue. And I've had people go, where did that come from? And I'm like, actually, my dad said that once, you know. And so many times these little sayings or quotes or whatever, even because in America, sometimes they're like, I didn't even really know what that meant, but now that you've explained it, I get it, you know. So yeah, I got a lot of that kind of, you know, one of the terms I always wanted to use, but obviously can't use it on live TV, which my dad always said, because there'd always be chatter before the first round, this and that, and he'd always say, hey, when the gate drops, the bullshit stops.
Yeah.
And that was his famous quote right there. And I've always wanted to use that, but I keep that one in the back of my mind.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool, man. It's funny, like the thing with me too, like our dad was like super strict on us, and like a lot of our shit was just like necessity sort of stuff, you know, like we didn't come from a lot of money, and like dad would be doing these renovations on the house, like he'd trying to like extend our house, you know, to build this nicer pad for everyone. And we built this patio once, and it took like months, dude, for dad to build like this fucking patio at the back of the house. And I'm like a 10-year-old or 12-year-old, my brother's a 10-year-old, and we're just holding up sheets of like, you know, ceiling sheets, and dad's like pop riveting these things, and we're just like kids under this fucking, you know, under these sheets doing this construction work. And then you're doing a driveway, and he's like recruits me and my mates like, hey, if you boys move all of this gravel, then I'll go to the raw materials place, I'll get the gravel, then you guys get it out, then you guys shovel it, and then I'll take you to riding tomorrow. And it was just like you'd work all fucking day, and the next day you'd be too sore to even ride. But it was just like those lessons, like, but the funny thing is like in the moment you just like resent it. You're just like, this guy, like, just take me riding, bro. Like, all I want to do is ride my bike. I don't want to build the shed that the bike goes in. I just want to fucking ride the bike. And now I look back on my life, I'm like, god damn, dude, you hooked me up massive.
Yeah, it's all how you look at it, and I think you've got the same kind of outlook I have. Is they did the most they could with us. Were they perfect all the time? Probably not. I don't think I was either as a kid, but we had to earn our keep. The only good thing that I did do once, unintentionally, he's like, you need to learn to work on your bike more. I'm tired of doing everything. I was like, okay. So I changed the oil, and I obviously got distracted by something shiny, but I put the drain plug in, but only finger tight. Oof. And it was a brand new 125, just got it from Cowie. And when I say this thing seized, it locked up. Like they couldn't even press it apart. It was fucked. And he was so angry. And you're not getting pocket money for the rest of your fucking life. You know, and I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that. just get the bike fixed so we can go riding. And so all I was ever allowed to do was wash it and air filters. And even air filter, like I couldn't put the seat on until he checked it was placed properly and all that. But it all comes back to, like you said, I had to do chores. I had to recruit my mates and go, hey, we want to have a sleepover? Yeah. Oh, by the way, guess what we're doing in the morning? We're doing manual labor, but we will go to the track at some point. So I can relate a lot to that.
Yeah, and you know, like you look back at it now, and I'm so thankful that that's the way, you know, that's the way that it was. And I think that, you know, it speaks to that like genuine nature of like, I mean, I guess maybe it's just like my dad was just trying to get by, do his best, and take his kids to the track and take his kids riding. There's no part of him that had like this excess time to think about his kids being stars or his kid, you know. It was just doing
Yeah.
everything to just get there, and it was like a real organic, genuine thing. And then I think because it was like that,
Sure.
that there was some real lessons in there that that I ended up taking out of it. And then it's just like I look at any of the successes that I've had in my life, and I kind of owe it to those lessons. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.